Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Tony Plays The Binding of Isaac. Hope everyone's doing good. Everyone's chilling, going about their day nice and lovely. Today, we are going to do the unfortunate circumstance of taking on the daily run. However, I forgot to turn off my mod, so give me just a second. You should see the Isaac coming up in like 2 seconds, something like that. Nothing crazy. Bada boom, you should hear it now. Anyways. Make sure item descriptions are on for this, and we'll be taking on the daily run. Today looks like, was that Tainted Judas? I can work with that. Anyways, hope y'all are doing well. I'm chilling. I just got done recording another Isaac episode. You know how it is, you know how it be. It's kind of just regular old Isaac. Had a good run. Not gonna describe it just because, I mean, then I'll date myself and you guys are gonna be like, Tony, you recorded this at a horrible time. You know, is what it is, whatever. Today, actually, there is one thing I wanted to talk about. I did want to kind of talk about it in the original video, but I decided to save it for a, what's it called? I decided to want to save it for the extra episode that I was gonna record because I think, one, it's a really cool topic. Oh, I thought this was the one that would let me fly. I know one of them lets you fly, like, theoretically. Oh, I think it's pinking shears because it cuts your head off. You know what I mean? And you become the head and your body becomes the thing running around. Not regular scissors where your head becomes the turret and your body is still your body. Anyways, all that aside, you know, just yapping about different weapons, things and whatnot. I had decided to save it for this because I thought it was something interesting. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Anyways, I was watching a video earlier today, and the video had gone over something that was, honestly, if I'm gonna be real with you, having seen the full video, I am under the assumption this has to be rage bait. However, I'm pretty sure it was like a real published video, so we're gonna just avoid that for now. Anyways, might be thinking, Tony, what the hell are you talking about? I had recently seen a video that had gone over the fact that in recent times, there are people out there that, although they make a lot of money, at least compared to the, you know, average person, they're still living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not sure what kind of piece the video is supposed to really be, truth be told, just because, like I'm telling you right now, I swear it has got to be rage bait to some degree. But pretty much the video is talking about how there is this group of people called Henrys, which are high earners, not rich yet. Henry, high earners, not rich yet, Henrys. And this video essentially goes over how these Henry people, although they are making what many people would consider a lot of money, they're still not feeling rich, as you would say, as one would say. And I wanted to talk about it because there was a stat provided at the beginning of the video that I thought was interesting, a little crazy, because it just seemed a little bit outlandish. Anyways, it's not a crazy stat like 90% of Americans are homeless or anything. It was the average salary, the average pay that the American would say has them feeling rich was, take a guess. Honestly, real quick, take a guess. If you were to think, what is the average amount of money that I would think an American would say is, if I earned this much a year, I would feel rich? Would you think maybe something in the high 100,000s? Maybe even perhaps the mid to high 200,000s. You know what I mean? Because this is per year. You know what I mean? That's a lot of money. Maybe even something along the 400,000 mark. Earning 400,000 a year in 3 years, you earn 1.2 million. That is a lot. You know, that's nothing to sneeze at, man. That's quite a bit of dough. I would say if I earned every 3 years $1 million, I would feel pretty rich, right? No, it was this 502 or 520. I might get the numbers mixed up, but it was $500,000 plus is what on average the average American says is enough money to make them feel rich. Now I'm be real with y'all, all right? I'm gonna keep it a complete stack of y'all with y'all. That don't sound right. You might be thinking, Tony, what do you mean that don't sound right? Let me explain. $500,000, okay? I know you've probably heard the thing of if you had like $1 million or whatever, what's the fastest you could spend it? You know, I've seen these like dude finance bros talk about how like, man, if I was out here making, you know, like if I had 20 mil, bro, I couldn't even live with that. I could spend 20 mil easily. You know what I mean? And it's like, no. You know what I mean? No. What are you possibly buying where you're spending 20 mil like that in the blink of an eye? You know what I mean? And that argument right there is kind of what got me going on this video of what are these people possibly buying to where 500,000 is the average that you would feel rich at. You know what I mean? And the only reason I'm saying this is you'd be like, Tony, 500,000 is a lot of money though. Yeah. However, me personally, and I discussed this with my friends because I thought it was a crazy number, I was thinking something a lot lower. You know what I mean? If I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all, I genuinely think I could feel comfortable sitting at like the high 100,000. You know what I mean? If I made high $100,000 a year, that's nearing like $80 to $90 an hour. I cannot fathom spending any more than that in a year. All right. So, me and my friends, we decided, let's yap about it. What am I getting here? I'm getting a text from my brother. Let's yap about it. You know what I mean? I kind of wanted to talk about it. I thought it was a very interesting topic, a very interesting, maybe not conversation starter, but it's definitely an interesting conversation to have with friends. Hey friends, let's discuss, because I think this is pretty cool. And with the context of the video, honestly, I feel like if you give them, whoever you're kind of doing this with, the video context, I think you low-key kind of got secured in the bag a free conversation. You know what I mean? The average American says they would need about 500,000 to feel rich. What do you think? What is your feel rich number? And in my mind, all right, I said if I earned $200,000 a year, I would feel rich, bro. I would be like, man, I'm good. I'm chilling. I would never have to worry about shit again. So we decided, let's math it out. Let's math it out, all right? And I'm gonna explain to y'all this math here, okay? So, using some finance and other things, all right? I'm not gonna go into full depth just because, you know, I don't want anyone to like somehow money down economics this shit. I had essentially settled on, if you put down 5% on a house that was valued 1 bed, 1 bath, let's say like 1 bed, 1 bath, valued for like around 450,000, 400,000, something like that. You put down, what is that? 5% of the cost, and then you just paid the rest off over 30 years with like 6% APR or whatever. That would net you something like 2,400, potentially more. I am fudging numbers slightly, just so, like I said, someone doesn't like money number this down to like docs or whatever, which you probably will, but you know what, I'll just give you a little bit of a challenge. So pretty much at the end of the day, we had come out to mortgage was gonna be around, let's say 2,500, 2,400, something like that. Somewhere that was bad damage. I just ran out at the worst time. Somewhere in that ballpark. All right, just paying off your house. That already is pretty high. However, with that number in mind, I had done the expense of, you usually, for a rule of thumb, don't want to be paying more than roughly 30% of your income going to this, what's it called? You know what I mean? That was really dumb, but it worked. You usually don't want to have no more than like around 30% of your income going directly towards paying off your house. Now, usually people will say you want roughly like 50% of your income to go to all your expenses. Like that includes food. Does that include food? But you know, it includes like, you know, your gas bill, your electric bill, your water bill, frickin' get out of here. You know, I'm talking like your water bill, bro, car insurance, car payment if you have one. Although in this scenario, I decided let's be financially responsible, and let's say you live with your parents and you didn't have a car payment for X amount of, you know, years or whatever. You know what I mean? You live with your parents, you manage to save up, you bought a car that's nice and dandy, you enjoy it, it's great. And now, because of that, you got the lucky benefit of saving yourself from having to spend any money a month going directly to your car, because you have a nice car that's paid off and whatnot. Alright, so just off of accounting for car insurance, electric, the water / gas, and internet, I completely forgot to add, I'm gonna be real with y'all, I completely forgot to add the important things like your phone bill, you know what I mean? And honestly, thinking about it, dude, there's no way that hit me, dog. I think I might have neglected to add one more thing, not on purpose, I just kind of forgot. Did I? I spent a minute thinking about it. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I did spend a minute thinking about it because I didn't want to do this math and then be wrong. So I spent a minute thinking about like, all right, what is everything that we're gonna need? You know what I mean? You need internet, you know. You need, what's the word I'm thinking of? You need internet, you need, what's your deal, man? What's your deal, old man Jenkins? What, oh, God damn it, man. I keep getting, like, tossed aside and, like, in thought. You're gonna need internet, you're gonna need to pay your electric, you're gonna need to pay your water, you're gonna need to pay, like, you know, your trash fee if you bought a house. I didn't account for any HOA thing or anything. Let's just hope you get lucky and don't get an HOA. Just pure, absolute necessities. You need to pay for electric, you need to pay for water, you need to pay for garbage, you need to pay your car insurance, you need to pay food. I took into account food. I took, for a single person living alone, roughly around 350 to like 400 and something average monthly spent on food. Now, I did say groceries. I did say on groceries, not just food alone. So I didn't, in that scenario, I did not account for, oh, I want to go to a restaurant, or oh, I want to go, get DoorDash every once in a while. Like, let's say once every 2 weeks you buy DoorDash. You know what I mean? I did not account for that in this initial calculation. So, with all those estimates brought together, I think the number ended up coming out to close to 4,000 something like that. Let me check the number real quick, all right? You can pause the daily run, right, and not have to worry about score or whatever. I mean, granted, I'm gonna be real with you, these daily runs like kind of only solely exist for just recording these little episodes here, so it is what it is. All right, so we had decided it was gonna be 2,300 plus all this money. What is that? S. Hold on. Okay, internet, electric, water, food, and car insurance. I completely neglected to do gas. Let's say you fill up once a week. California prices, at least in the Bay, are a little crazy. Let's, for safety, let's go $4.20 a gallon. You're filling up a 14-gallon car. And let's say you ride that bitch to E almost every time. So, around $4.30 a gallon times, what's that, 13-ish. Let's go 13.5 gallons. It's around 58 bucks. Let's round it up to 60. 60 bucks on top of that. All right, 60 bucks on top of that. And then my friend had mentioned he roughly spends like maybe about 100 a month on games and like a little extra 40 or something on like gacha or something. I'll just include that in the game / slight recreation fund. $80, $180 for that, for games and then recreation. I'm being mad stingy on this, by the way. And then I decided to add, let's add 200 something. Let's add $200 for your eating out on occasion and you are DoorDashing on occasion. All right. All that brought us to the nice round number of like around $4,000. Okay. So if all your expenses comes out to roughly 50% of your income, that would be around $8,000. Or if you took the initial price, which was, it should be roughly 30% of your income should go directly to, what's it called? Go directly to how much you pay in rent / mortgage, then that would lead you to roughly the same number. If it was around 2,500 or whatever, that leads you to like roughly 7,500. You know what I mean? I'm giving y'all a little extra bit more money in this scenario here. So that is not saving anything. No, that is saving, because that is all like necessity expenses kind of deal. Plus I threw in a little bit of funny money in there just for whatever the fuck you know, if you have to buy games every month. I gave you $180 worth of games to buy every month. And same goes for what's it called? I also provided $200 worth to go directly towards pure buying, pure eating out. and other stuff, you know? And that's roughly $8,000. Let's take the higher number, all right? Let's take the higher number. Roughly $8,000 monthly. That would be your monthly income, would be around $8,000. 8,000, let's divide that by 4 to show how much you would get monthly. That's around $2,000, 2,000-ish dollars every, what is that? Why did I subtract 380 from that? Is that the wrong number? I think I got the wrong number there. Okay, but you know what I mean? Let's just multiply that. Let's multiply that real quick, all right? Stay with me here. So we get... Nope, not secret room there. We got roughly around what? 8,000, divide that by 4, around 2,000 per week, all right? That means in 1 week's pay, you've already almost completely paid off that month's mortgage. In 2 weeks' pay, you've paid off your mortgage plus your actual real necessities, such as, what's it called? Such as things that go to money. So what is it? You're only gonna 300. You have 1,700 left. Yeah, that's only 300. You still have 1,700 left. Mind you, we aren't even including, what's it called, bro? This is like your net take home. This is not gross. This is like your net take home. Because if it was gross, then it would be a little bit less. You know what I mean? You'd be paying like... What? The number's lost on me right now. You know what I mean? Walkie slush. That thing bleeding, P. That would be like roughly around how much? What is that? What is that, man? Now, granted, you could be thinking like, Tony, where are you coming up with these numbers? We didn't make these numbers up, all right? We did not make these numbers up. This was a rough estimate poll average among me and my peers. All right? A rough estimate poll average among me and my peers brought us to around 2,000 a week. In my original test, I think there was more money to be had. I'm not gonna lie. I think I did mess up a little bit on the numbers side slightly. And I think I did unintentionally give us a little bit more money. And I'll come out with that too. I'll come out with that number as well. I will give y'all my fucked up original number as well, just so you guys are aware of, you know, how the shit is. Because I don't want to hide any info from y'all. I'm not trying to intentionally mislead. This is just us doing some math to try and kind of math out what we think might be a bit more of a realistic / reasonable number, at least for us, for me and my friends, what we might consider a bit more of a reasonable, realistic number. And the reason I'm saying that is because the people in the video were making somewhere around like $300,000 a year mark, and they were talking about how they're living like paycheck to paycheck. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't even make 100K a year, you know? I don't even make more than that, bro. And so to hear someone making like, what is it, like quadruple my yearly income and still be talking about like, oh, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, man, you know, it's such a struggle. I'm not gonna lie to you, it kind of feels like stolen valor to some degree, dare I say. Dare I throw that term around? You know what I mean? It's like, how are you dead ass? Like, are we dead ass, bro? Are you seriously gonna sit here and tell me that you're the one struggling to make ends meet? It's that, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe you. This is rage bait. So now you see why I call this video rage bait, okay? Anyways. Oh, come on. He just dodged it. Yapping about that aside, all right? Let's continue. Let's continue. So, if we split that up, 2,000 a month, or 2,000 a week, in around the first week, that pays off most of your mortgage. Second week, that pays off all of your mortgage, around 2,500, plus you're leaning with some 1,500 more to spend on, you know, the regular necessities. What did we do in the calculation here? We got to around, what was that? If I were to add up these numbers, around, we added 1,200 with all the math that we did spending on food, gas, all that. We added roughly another $1,200 to, what's it called? I don't even know what that does, man. I don't even know what that is. What is that, man? If you want to math a brother out on that, what is that? Like 20? What's the word I'm thinking of, man? What's the word I'm thinking of, man? Well, the Void is so goated, dude. Can we be for real? I remember when Maw the Void used to generate black hearts, man. Good times, bro. Good times. I still think it's a really good item. I'll say that 100%. I think Maw the Void is a damn good item. However, I think it low-key used to have a bit more sauce to him. Dare I say. Don't hurt him now, Unc. Don't hurt him now. You know what I mean? Type shit. Oh, I thought like I popped when I... Oh, hold on. Okay, I thought that would work too. I'm gonna be so real with you. I might be a dumbass. That would be cool if it added another Maw the Void. However, I don't think it does, but I do think it at least contributes to 2/3 Leviathan now. Oh, Tinted Rock. I didn't even realize it, man. So, what was that, man? What was that? At the end of the day, what do we got? All right, at the end of the day here, mathing out, what do we got? Oh, you have $1,500 left. $1,500 left on your second paycheck of the month. $1,500 left. And guess what? You're still left with an extra $300 to take on and just kind of, I don't know, do whatever the hell you want with it. You know what I mean? Mathematically speaking, you still got like another just 200 to sort of just do whatever the fuck you want at the end of the day with. Not even 300. I did the math wrong. Not to even state that you then proceed to get another $4,000 for literally whatever the hell you save it. You know what I mean? Save it, whatnot. Whatever. you just know at least it's crazy, you know? You at least just know it's crazy. It's wicked. If I had an extra $4,000 a month, man, do you know what I could do with that, bro? I would be, and excuse me for the language I'm about to use here, I would be creaming in my pants, dog, okay? I would be shooting ropes at an extra $4,000 a fucking month. Let alone an extra 1,000. You know what I mean? Even just something as simple as an extra $1,000 a month. Dude, that would, goddamn, that would make me feel the safest I think I've ever felt financially ever, bro. Ever. And so you're telling me, oh, by the way, by the by, let's break that down. Okay? Let's break that down. So, if I'm gonna be real with you, I am unaware of each tax bracket, okay? I'm unaware of each tax bracket and how much is taken away from each thing, okay? However, in the video, the lady provided a number that was still insanity. And it was, you're sitting at roughly $200,000 a year. That's how much you earn, 200K a year. And they switched it down to you take home 140,000. Unaware. All right, for the unaware, if you make 200,000 a year, you take home 140,000. That's roughly around a 30% cut going directly to taxes and whatnot, you know? Just take away in taxes, and they didn't specify any 401k or anything like that. So, no retirement. We're just gonna assume no retirement in this scenario. You take away roughly 30% of the income, okay? I forgot to activate the dark arts before I entered bro's vicinity. Incubus. So, if you would simply follow along with me here, okay? Simply follow along with me here. That's all I'm asking. Not even asking for anything crazy. Just simply follow along. All right. The net that you gain is gonna be roughly 30% less than your gross. Your gross is what you get regardless. Say you make $10 an hour. What you get gross, you know, say you make $10 an hour, you work 40 hours a week. What is that? 4,000? No. You make $10 an hour, you work 40 hours. You're gonna get $400, okay? You're gonna get $400 a week. I don't know why I said 4,000. My brain is cooked. You get $400, all right? Unfortunately, you're not gonna take all of that 400 home because you still have taxes to pay. So, let's cut 30%. Let's cut 30% from that. Now, 30% of what you earn is given to taxes. So in that instance of you making, what is that? $400. I don't know why. It's like cooking me right now. What's 400% of 30? 120. Is that 120? Am I tripping on that? No, that don't seem right. 400 divided by 3. 30. Really? Oh, I'm so stupid. That's not how you do that. 400 times 0.3. It is 120. Roughly 120 is going to be taken away. So you're going to get 280. $280 goes straight to you. That's how much that you earned, all right? So the reason you have to take that into account is you cannot use your net income to give you your actual how much you earn an hour, because your net plus what you earn in an hour aren't really gonna line up. You have to go with the gross because that's before anything is taken away. So, in this scenario, all right? In this scenario, that is, what was that? What do we calculate? 8,000 a month? 8,000 times 12, what is that? 96K? That don't sound right. That don't sound right. And then how do I add the 30% from that? You gotta give me a second. God damn it, I'm so stupid. I'm such a moron. Ah, math. I haven't used you in so long that I'm cooked, bro. I can feel the brain bleed actively kicking in. Look, man, all right. Pretty much my math is cooked, all right? My math is done, my math is cooked. Just making 96,000 a year net, I feel like would be solid, okay? I feel like that would be solid. However, that's not usually the, you know, take home. Would I be comfortable with that? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, a little bit, but I'd still feel a little, what's the word I'm thinking? You know what I mean? I still feel a little iffy about it. And my math, I'm trying to play Isaac and also math at the same time. Multitasking is obviously not my strong suit. We, at the end of it all, I think we had essentially kind of deemed it roughly around 150,000. If you earned roughly $150,000 a year, you would kind of sit in that good sort of state of, I'm feeling good. You know what I mean? I feel rich. Because you might be thinking, Tony, how did you come about that number? Like I said, I think I originally fucked up my math earlier. And what I had accidentally done is I had applied the ×3 of what you spend to the original number, which the original number was like 3,600 something. You know what I mean? No, it was like 3,800. The original number being close to 4,000. Then multiplying that by 3, that essentially meant 12,000. You would have to roughly earn 12,000 a month, you know? That definitely increased the number by a lot. Is fighting Hush easy? Question mark? No, probably not. I'm still gonna try and math this out, by the way. I want y'all to know this, because I still need to just kind of justify the video. The way the video felt insane to me. You know what I mean, man? So let's do some math. You know, what can I get for you? Mocktails, mixers, ice? Question mark. Alright, this seems like the perfect opportunity to start trying to do some really dumb math while we're doing this. So, 30%. If you want to get 30% of something, you have to multiply it by the 0.3. You know what I mean? And that number that you receive will be the exact 30% of. But if I wanted to increase something by 30%, that is where my issue lies. I would have to increase it by 130, right? Which would essentially mean I increase the number by times 1.3 or whatever. Is that correct? Can someone question mark? Yes, no, maybe so. Let's try it. Let's try the number. See if I'm right. Times 0.13. No. Times 1.3. If I am correct, that would leave roughly $125,000, okay? If you earn somewhere around the ballpark of $125,000, that don't seem right, man. Let's try the math this out then. $125,000 times 0.3 That is 37,440. So now let's take the original 96,000 minus 37,000. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. We need to take the 124 minus the 37, which will leave us with 87,000. Divide that by 12. That's 7,280 a month. Divide that by 4. That's roughly 1820 a week. No, I don't know. Maybe my math is checking out. I could be stupid as hell. Maybe my math is checking out. Granted, this is all banking on saying you manage to save up enough, and also you don't get absolutely shafted on your monthly payment for your mortgage because you decided to buy, you know what I mean, a house with this much percent APR or whatever, you know? And the only reason I say that is because, to be completely honest with you, housing ain't looking to be that high, you know what I mean? All of this is banking on someone putting down such a low number. And because of the fact that your house also happens to reside in that kind of low-ish number territory. Granted, housing has not gone that way. I literally, a few days ago, oh crap, the undetermined amount of time ago, a few days can mean anything, made a video talking about how housing kind of freaking blows, you know? Housing sucks. Or at least I think I was talking about how rent sucks. Housing's even worse, man. Jesus Christ. I'll see the most clinically insane. You know what? You want to see some of the most clinically insane individuals on planet Earth? Go and look at people trying to make legitimate posts in regards to the Bay Area housing market. You know what I mean, man? You will unironically see people be like, hey guys, over here selling this nice starter home in the deep valley of San Jose. All it is it's just gonna be $500,000, and you look at the home and it is like the Resident Evil 7 Baker household, bro. You know what I mean? You see a home, mind you, half the size, because the Resident Evil 7 Baker household is a goddamn mansion. Half the actual size, and yet all of the disgust and dirt and destruction, man. And you'd think I'm playing. No, I'm not playing. This is a real listing on the San Jose housing market. It's a house that's roughly 500,000. I think it got a price increase, making it even more brain dead. $500,000 for like what, like 2,000 maybe square feet, more like 1,500 square feet. And the house, look up the Resident Evil 7 Baker household right now, bro. Tell me that shit is not criminal to put a house on the market looking like that, bro. And that's 500,000 for a house that looks like that. This is all in the optimism / hopes that you manage to get a house with 5% down that you save for to, you know, reach this income, reach this payment of 2,300. If it could be more, it could be more, it could be less, depending on how much you chip in. But in this fake made-up scenario that doesn't exist, and this is not assuming you are saving for anything ever. This is assuming you don't have a car to pay off. That's what it was. That's what we forgot. We forgot to add a car to pay off, because honestly, not everyone out there has a used car. A lot of people out there, I have unfortunately found out, are out here freaking, you know, either A, paying student loans or something. They're paying student loans, or B, paying off, you know, some debt or whatever, or paying off their car as like an additional fee, you know what I mean? Anyways, all right. Anyways, all this aside, my bad. I need to pause, so I need to do the number crunching, the final number crunch. All this aside, just to say, if you made $124,000 a year, divide that by 52, right? Because that's how much you make a week. That's how much the net is a week. And then divide that, or that's how much the gross is a week. What's that? No, that's a month. Don't seem right. I think maybe the 52 was the wrong number. Oh no, that's a week. That's a week. I'm tripping. That is a week. And then divide that by 40. You're making 60 an hour, bro. All right. You gotta be roughly making 60-ish plus an hour to net live semi-comfortably in this everything lines up scenario that I might be lowballing. You know what I mean? And so I said, if I had $200,000 a year, if I made $200,000 a year, that would seem like heaven to me, bro. That would literally be heaven to me. But instead, there are people out here making what, quadruple my yearly income, and they're still like talking about paycheck to paycheck. What are you spending it on? What could you possibly be spending that shit on, man? Anyways, I want to thank y'all for watching. If you guys did enjoy, greatly appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good day and or good night, depending on the time you're viewing this. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.